The NBA is here. Like good games every single night here. Like Detroit Pistons being competitive on a daily basis here. Like Jordan Poole chucking up 50 shots a game and not caring about anybody else here. The NBA is here. The in-season tournament, it was the first thing I want to talk about. I mean, it just looks like poor execution. It's like something that was forced. I mean, the courts look absolutely terrible. You have four teams with the same courts in red. I mean, how are we supposed to enjoy an NBA basketball game when the whole court is red and then they have uniforms to match it? It just didn't look good. Um, and the fact that a lot of NBA fans or the casual fans couldn't even watch it because you didn't have a lot of games available. So if there was a casual fan with a local team and their local team wasn't on air, I mean, how were they supposed to watch it? I mean, it's something I didn't enjoy. But one thing I have enjoyed, and one thing that is so worth the wait, is Victor Wembanyama. I don't know what he's gonna do on Wednesday. I'm recording this Tuesday. There's no NBA games today because of Election Tuesday. But what Victor Wembanyama has been so far surpasses what his expectations were. Because although there were a lot of people saying he was going to be this, that, and the third, he's the next Tim Duncan, like he is the next Spurs great big. He still performing. I mean, he already put up a 38-point performance on the Suns, made Kevin Durant look like Muggsy Bogues with his jump shot. I mean, we're talking about a guy who is 7'5" with a release over his head up here. I mean, that is, listen, other than him dribbling the ball way too much. I mean, through the first week, he probably averaged five turnovers a game. But besides that, what Wemby has been is just, it's been beautiful to watch. It's been exciting. I could never think in the past years that I would say that the Spurs are an exciting team to watch. Listen, when I was young and first became an NBA fan, I didn't even want to watch the Spurs playoffs games. When they were going against the Heat and all that, when I was really becoming an NBA fan, I didn't even want to watch that. I mean, Spurs have never been fun to watch to me personally. Like they're not a very aesthetically pleasing team. But Victor Wembanyama is making this team fun to watch because just to see the how much attention he draws on defense, just to see him as a middle linebacker for the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, you sit him in the middle of that court and he's guarding both wings, he's guarding both corners, he's guarding the top of the key, and he can still get back and block somebody's shot who just cut back door. Everyone's just playing beautifully around him. I mean, Jeremy Sohan, who I think isn't really a point guard, but you just literally, all you have to do is run up the court and throw it up to him because him, in his early stage of his career, is already a professional, an advanced proficient, and great in the league in picking his matchups. I mean, he's running down the court, setting a screen before the defense can even get set. And now he has the point guard in the paint like this. Now he has a small forward in the paint like this. Listen, if you're not big, strong, muscular, you are at a disadvantage to Wembanyama because even if you're a great defender, I mean, he's the reach. We've all seen the graphic of what Kevin Durant looked like defending his shot. The reach, he can be at the free throw line, turn around and finger roll it. Exaggeration, of course, but this is who he is offensively. And then you have players around him who are willing shooters. I mean, Zach Collins has looked amazing playing next to Wemby. He's just, listen, he is literally just his sidekick. I mean, Wembanyama runs up to the wing to grab a three and face up, and Zach Collins is cutting back door. Wembanyama is running to the paint to get the matchup and the post touch he wants, and Zach Collins is running to the three to get a shot. I mean, Wembanyama, who leads someone to the defense, and Zach Collins is blocking the shot. These two have played beautifully together. Wembanyama, even if you don't believe it, is raising other people's game with his range. I mean, it's so much easier to defend someone right now. When Wembanyama's on the court, they're a top 10 defense. Why? Because you know that you have that hub around you, that there's a bubble around you that no matter what, if he passes you, Wembanyama is there. If you get beat, Wembanyama is there. And that is the kind of defensive hub he has been thus far. And not to mention Devin Vassell, who doesn't get talked about much. His growth in the NBA has not got talked about much. He got disregarded his freshman year, his rookie year. I'm thinking about school, his rookie year, where he was putting up like 5 points a game. People disregarded him then, but then he went to put up 12 per game. Then he went up to put 18, and now he's putting up 20 points per game almost as an efficient scorer. Devin Vassell has been an amazing player. It's been great to watch. Keldon Johnson is not taking as many crazy shots that he had the liberty to take last year. I mean, Jeremy Sohan, even though he's had the unfortunate change of having to switch positions. I mean, he's doing so willingly. He's taking on a challenge. The first game he looked a little timid, but now his passes look a little more confident. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to throw turnovers. But Jeremy Sohan, if you can get a team that doesn't have a single person under the height of 6'5", man, I mean, because it's not like they're unathletic. Wemby is 7'5", but he can get around anywhere. Jeremy Sohan is about 6'7", but he can get around anywhere. He's extremely athletic. The same with Keldon. The same with Zach Collins, who has been, I mean, everywhere on defense and everywhere on offense. He's offensive boards. Defense. Listen, I already talked about Zach Collins. Very happy what he's been. But that's enough Spurs talk. Now I want to get to Wemby's counterpart and Chet Holmgren, who has been lighting up the league in a similar manner to Victor Wembanyama. I mean, talk about defensive hub. My goodness, he had a 7-block game within the first week of his NBA career. It's evident that that 1 year of training that he had without playing he looks like he's been playing basketball. He's a veteran. I mean, the confidence in his shot, the way to pick his spots, his help defense has been amazing. His one-on-one defense has been amazing. He's not going to physically push someone out the paint, but he's going to wait for them to make a move. And his length and his athleticism has allowed him to contest his shots the way he has. I mean, the Thunder. So what I just talked about, the Spurs young core, listen, the Thunder is times 1,000. I mean, J-Dub has been one of my favorite players since last year. Where he's a little bit of everything. He's your Swiss Army knife, which is something that is extremely important as a young team, to have a willing defender, to have someone who's a willing shooter, who's in the passing lanes, who can give you a weak side block, who can do all the dirty work. And you put that next to a 30-point per game scorer in Shea and a willing passer in Giddey, who has rounded his game out year by year by year by year. I mean, my goodness, I talked about with the Spurs that they don't have a single player in the 6'5". I don't think the OKC has one either in their starting lineup. I mean, it's looked impressive. It is looking extremely impressive. If this team can get it together, they look very 2014 OKC-esque. I mean, they look like a young core that's going to be dangerous for a while because they already have an advantage over the Spurs. They already were contesting for the play-in. And now you add in a Chet Holmgren, who is a defensive hub, who can easily, listen, let this team trade for OG Anunoby. Let this team trade for OG Anunoby and watch how crazy this team could be defensively. Watch how great Shea and Giddey could work when you have these 3-and-D wings and J-Dub and OG. I'm very excited for the OKC future. I'm very excited for what's to come. But let's keep it going out west. The Suns. I mean, Devin Booker. I expected him to take over playmaking, the playmaking, and it's only been 2 games that he's been able to play, but he looks amazing. I mean, I really wish and I hope and pray that we can get a healthy Phoenix team because KD at the age that he is still Kevin Durant. I mean, talk 30 points per game on like 50, 40, 90, similar to what he's been doing his entire career in his prime with the OKC Thunder. He is still doing it 10 years later with the Phoenix Suns. So if you can get a Bradley Beal back who has in the past, and he said he's going to put his effort towards being a 3-and-D wing, if you put that player in, if you put Devin Booker, who's been setting up this offense and making some use of Yusuf Nurkic, who's looked lost without a point guard, I mean, it's evident. Shout out to one of my favorite YouTubers, Kenny Beecham, who's talked about how inefficient he's been at the rim, and has talked about he has never been above average in his career at the rim for maybe 1 or 2 times. He looked good with that when Devin Booker was on the court. I mean, 13 assists that Devin Booker's dished down. I think 8 in the first one. I'm really hoping his team can get it together because you look at some of the dishes. If they weren't able to snag Grayson Allen or Eric Gordon, this team will look absolutely terrible. I mean, Yusuf Nurkic can't hold anything down in the paint. If I posted him up, I might be able to get a foul. You know, I don't mean to undermine him, but I'm serious. He's got benched. They traded for Yusuf Nurkic, and Drew Eubanks has been starting over him. I mean, the same kind of buzz was going on with the Blazers last year. That Eubanks is a way better paint protector. That Eubanks puts a lot more effort on defense, and I can attribute that to some reoccurring injuries that Yusuf Nurkic has had to go through. But he has not looked good as the big man on that team, and they are going to need a big man that can play defense because it's not like they have a strong power forward down there either. They're relying on Kevin Durant to help out with the rebounds. They're relying on Josh Okogie to help out on some help defense. Those are you don't want Kevin Durant to have the stress of having to help in the paint. You don't want Kevin Durant having to bang down low sometimes. You want Kevin Durant doing what he does, and that is putting the ball in the basket. And occasionally he can help defense. But when you have Yusuf Nurkic down there, there's so much stress on Kevin Durant as the second biggest guy on the court, maybe the biggest, because he's 7 foot. We all know it. But you don't want to do that because Kevin Durant right now, who's been the only healthy star on the Suns, after all that clanging and banging he's going to be doing down low, you're going to see down in the middle of the season, he's going to take a week off here. He's going to take a couple games off here, and he's going to be done and bruised and battered by the playoffs. And that's not what I want to see for this team. I want to see this team be successful. I want to see this big three go out and compete. The NBA looks so great this year, and I don't want injuries to have any part in that. And the same goes with the Clippers, in which I'm going to transition into. Paul George and Kawhi have come out into the season and looked absolutely amazing. Paul George has looked like an MVP so far. He's in the passing lanes. He's passing. He's swinging the ball willingly. He's shooting the ball in extreme efficiency, putting up almost 30 points per game. Paul George has looked amazing. And this is a person who had an offseason procedure. And we see Julius Randle, who also had a procedure during the offseason. It's not that easy to come out the gate on fire when you're kind of recovering. Because NBA preseason is what it used to be. A lot of these players, they get in shape within the first week of the season. But Paul George, I mean, he's come out firing. Kawhi's come out firing. Westbrook does look amazing, doing any and everything he needs to do to be, useful and to execute. I would like to say, I mean, he's everywhere. He is a ball of energy. I mean, a lot of people, because of what he was with the Lakers and how bad that situation was, think that he wasn't a good player. No, Westbrook was the same player. He was just tied up. And talk about James Harden tied up. You were not tied up, my friend. But Westbrook was tied up with that Lakers team. We had an AD who wasn't shooting threes. We had a LeBron James who isn't going to draw defenses to the three too much. You have a team that's one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league. Then we have Russell Westbrook, who needs to penetrate in the paint, who needs to go out, have the pick and rolls and the pick and pops, and he wasn't able to do that whatsoever. And he was he was handcuffed. With this team, he looks amazing. He looks free, and I'm scared that the addition of James Harden is going to affect that. Because yes, James Harden is a talent that you want to add to your team at any point, no matter how old he is, no matter when. He is one of the best ISO players of all time. But you add this to a team that is already extremely ISO heavy within Kawhi, within Paul George. And for reference, I'm recording this on Election Tuesday. I don't know if I said it already. So we're already able to see that Paul George and Kawhi, they were a little timid, with James Harden being like the most ball dominant player we've seen in the league now until the uprising of Luka. He held that ball a lot, and I know it's his debut. Maybe he wanted to leave a mark, but Kawhi said that he's going to find his shots. No, Kawhi should not find his shots. Kawhi should go out there and get it. Kawhi should go out there and demand it. This is Kawhi and Paul George's team. James Harden is supposed to be what complements both of them. James Harden was supposed to be that after they get a couple buckets here, a couple buckets there, they come off. James Harden is supposed to be able to lead the second unit. James Harden is supposed to be able to if they're struggling, get an ISO and get them out of it. James Harden is supposed to include Ivica Zubac more than he is now because he hasn't been too much thus far. And Miles Plumlee, James Harden is supposed to be the playmaker that he has been. It should not take away from Paul George and Kawhi, and that's going to be the biggest mistake if the Clippers allow that to happen. But regardless, talent-wise, they look good. The first game didn't look good, but it's not like you're going to look perfect. You're just going to, throw a team together one day and just glue. James Harden is a lot to add to a team. There's a lot to adjust to. His high usage rate, high ISO rates, a lot of pick and rolls. That is James Harden's game. So it's going to be interesting to see what they become. Now we flip over to the other LA team in the Lakers. And I know I'm going very West heavy to start out, but trust me, we're going to talk about the Eastern Conference teams. As a Lakers fan, it's just not looked pretty. It hasn't looked pretty whatsoever. Kudos to AD and LeBron James, especially kudos to LeBron James. I just got his Funko recently. It's right up there. But he should not be demanded to do so much for the Lakers to have to be within the game. I mean, they lost to the Heat, and that game was ugly. That is a Heat team that hasn't looked good all year, and it was bad. I mean, it was bad. You asked so much of LeBron James. Supposedly give him a minutes restriction, but he has to play for almost 40 minutes a night for the Lakers to win. I've been loving what Taurean Prince has done so far, but AR hasn't been what the AR was supposed to be. Rui Hachimura hasn't been the player he was supposed to be. Jackson Hayes looks sometimes lost within that offense. Christian Wood has been a good addition, but the Lakers offense looks real stale. It just looks like a lot of standing around, and that's what Lakers offenses have been for a while. It's a lot of dumping down to AD or LeBron, bail you out with a nice driving. It just hasn't looked good. It hasn't looked good whatsoever. So I mean, I can't put them over a couple of the teams out west, especially the Nuggets, who I don't really need to talk about too much because they're just a well-oiled machine. It looks like they've been playing together as long as the Spurs, core did at with Tim Duncan, Ginobili, and Tony Parker. They look like they're comfortable. They know what spots, they know what shots each person likes to look for. They know when to get out the way because Aaron Gordon is going to get a post touch. They know when Jokic is going to go to work. They know when Jamal is going to go to work. They know where KCP is at all times to dish him out for a three. This team just look it's I had like it looks like a 5 man. Even though Reggie Jackson has been a change of pace sometimes, this is a 5 man team. This is something that you heavily rely on their starting five, and they've been absolutely amazing. I know Payne Watson has given you some good defensive efforts. Christian Braun hasn't taken a leap thus far that you want him to take, but I mean this starting lineup, there's no holes in that starting lineup whatsoever. It doesn't have the name firepower that the Boston Celtics does, which I'm going to transition to after this. But the cohesiveness of that offense, having the by far the best player in the NBA on your team, and one of the smartest players in the NBA on your team, it's such an advantage. And then you have a willing scorer, someone who is willing to take those difficult shots, who is willing to have an ISO, even though it may not be what they want, but it's what the team needs at the moment. A change of pace, someone who can, tough, like I said, tough shot taker and tough shot maker. In Jamal Murray, who a lot of people are high on this year, and even though he's not going to give you the 30 points per game or the 28 points per game, the high 20s, he's going to give the Nuggets exactly what they need to win on a daily basis. But now, the counterparts. I believe the Nuggets are the favorites out west, and my favorites out east are the Boston Celtics. I mean, the rich just got richer. KP and Drew Holiday look like they've been playing with Boston Celtics for about like 5 years. Like they came in and they fit in. These are two. Kristaps Porzingis, who I had on my fantasy team last year, and I was absolutely excited with the performance he put up. I mean, he's looked good. He's looked really good. He's been that bailout three. He doesn't demand the ball a lot. He's an amazing shot blocker. He protects the paint. He's done a lot more with the Celtics than I expected him to do. He has not been too physically demanding, nor has had a high usage rate. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have still been able to do what they have been doing for the past couple of years. That's gotten them to the Eastern Conference Finals. That has gotten them to the finals. Drew Holiday, who is a very experienced veteran, has been able to be a change of pace. He's been able to not only do what Marcus Smart has does, but elevate that position as well because he's better scoring talent wise, but sorry, excuse me. He is talent wise better than Marcus Smart. And he has shown it. I mean, he's had flashes where he can take over. Just yesterday he had a poor shooting performance, but he's going to make up on defense. You know, he's going to do what Drew Holiday has done his entire career, and that's just be gritty. That's just be scrappy. That's just make smart plays. And I mean, there's not much to say about Jason Tatum. He's having an MVP performance, extreme efficiency. I think he's shooting over 50% from three with like 8 attempts. He's been absolutely balling out of his mind so far, and it looks good for the Boston Celtics. It looks absolutely amazing for the Boston Celtics. But now we have another team that was supposed to contend, but a team that hasn't looked so good. A team that it's been ugly to watch, and it's crazy because Giannis has been my favorite player in the league. It's the Bucks. I mean, ugly basketballs thus far. Ugly, ugly basketball thus far. I seen a possession where Giannis had to take a bailout three um, at the end of a shot clock, which I don't mind. And if you have to shoot it, you shoot it. But then they got the offensive board back, pass it back to Giannis, and he shot it again from about 30 feet. Why are you doing that? You have a Damian Lillard on your team. You have a Chris Middleton on your team. You have Brook Lopez, who's even a winning shooter, Brook Lopez has looked like a lot of nothing this year, and that's not on him. He's just been an odd man out so far. But this dynamic duo has not been too dynamic, and it hasn't been much of a duo. I mean, it looks like they're scared to step on each other's toes. It looks like they're playing very timid. They aren't playing the way that a lot of people know they can be successful at, and that is the pick and roll. I mean, maybe they'll give you like 4 or 5 a game. Maybe you'll get one that's successful, but it just hasn't looked good so far, and they have managed. So I think I'm actually talking myself into them being a little scary because if they have managed thus far with not looking good. I mean, Chris Middleton has not been the Chris Middleton thus far, and that is also him trying to see where he fits in. It's a lot of players just scared to step on each other's toes right now. But I truly think that the Bucks can get it together once they figure that out and they get that pick and roll. Oh my goodness, if they can get that pick and roll down, it's scary. It's extremely scary because if you're facing a team such as the Boston Celtics, that means Kristaps Porzingis has to come up. That means maybe Jason Tatum has to come up and guard that, and that's not something you want for a full series. Even though Kristaps is great interior defense, once you put him out there against Damian Lillard, it's gonna look scary. It's not gonna look like what Jordan Poole against Kristaps looked, where he just did a sidestep threes and they got blocked. But Tyrese Maxey, that's a crazy transition. Tyrese Maxey has been absolutely amazing. Someone who was also on my fantasy team last year. Someone who I've been excited to watch them. And I used to be so mad just watching him stand there while James Harden ISO'd and ISO'd and ISO'd and ISO'd because he is so talented. He is such a change of pace on that team. He is fast. He moves. He doesn't make too many dumb decisions. Last year, a little more, but this year he's looked like far more mature as a player. He is scoring willingly. I'm telling you, Tyrese Maxey is a willing scorer. He is loading up an All-Star season right now, and it's very exciting to see. Because you have a Joel Embiid who is one of the best players in the NBA, and what he has gone through in terms of the roster around him in his time there's been it's been sad to watch. I mean, you have Ben Simmons coming in and out. You have Jimmy Butler coming in and out. You have James Harden coming in and out. Those are three top players. You have Jimmy, who has gone on to go to the finals a couple times. And I'll talk about the Heat in a little bit. They just haven't looked good. But nonetheless, I mean, to see maybe this is something that sticks. Tyrese Maxey doesn't give off the impressions as someone who is going to do some of the actions that Ben and James did. He looks like someone who's just happy to play ball. I mean, his teammates have testified that. I mean, his smile is infectious. I mean, he's happy in the locker room. He's always smiling. He's always joking. And with this play that he's doing thus far, I mean, I don't see any of that changing anytime soon. You even have guys such as Patrick Beverly, such as DeAnthony Melton, who can help take some of that defensive pressure off of Tyrese. You have Tobias Harris, who, I mean, I had to talk about him. I feel bad that I was almost about to keep going without even mentioning him. But Tobias Harris has been amazing. I mean, I believe he's on the last year of his contract, and even though it's been one of the more criticized contracts in the NBA, he's looking very good this year. He's looking like the third a concrete third option. He's efficient. He's taking good shots. He's picking his spots, and I just can't argue with what Tobias Harris is doing right now. He's playing great defense, and Kelly Oubre, he's doing exactly what you paid him to do. He's doing exactly what you added him on the roster to do, and that's to get buckets, and that is what he has been doing. That's a lot. I mean, I don't think I've been able to talk like consistently that much. I mean, I've done interviews, but talking, that's a lot. But I want to talk about one more team, and maybe I'll talk about another if it comes to my head. But the Memphis Grizzlies. Oh my goodness, the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, I joke with my friends that the Grizzlies are going to be punching on Ja Morant whenever they see him again. Because I mean, there's so many games that if they just had Ja Morant on the floor, they would win. I mean, I believe they would be a couple games over 500 if Ja was present. But I'm not going to talk about his actions. We're going to talk about the team right now. And I mean, I mean, they're gritty. This is a team that if they can string together some wins and maybe get close to 500 by the time Ja gets back, which doesn't look too likely, they look pretty scary. I mean, they look undersized. They're undersized at the wings, especially with Steven Adams' injury for the whole entire season. So you have Desmond Bane at the three, which is, I mean, it's not something you want in a playoff series. Um, that is going to get picked on for an entire series long. But I mean, offensively, he's pretty good. Marcus Smart is always going to be Marcus Smart. Um, Jaren Jackson is taking some leaps, but it's hard, when you have so much pressure because you're missing a star. So defenses are able to guard you differently than they would. They're able to put a little more pressure than they normally would. So you have Jaren seeing different looks. You have Desmond Bane seeing different looks, and it's not fun. I can't even imagine it's fun for them. They also lost Tyus Jones, who was one of the best assist to turnover point guards in the NBA. I believe he was number one last year. So you lost someone who was able to tempo an offense, who was able to have great ball security. So you essentially lost two of your starting point guards from last year. Now you have a Marcus Smart who isn't known to be a playmaker, who isn't known to set offenses up and create plays. I mean, he's a 3-and-D point guard. He can occasionally, make a play, but that is not who he is. He's not a playmaker. He's not on the level of Ja, nor on Tyus Jones. But it's sad to watch. This is a team that is young and it feels like they have a wasted year because of the actions of someone, who's pretty selfish. Um, but man, I mean, I truly don't think they can get back to a place where they're going to be playoff contenders. You can't. I mean, and I'll talk about Tyus Jones and the Wizards. I mean, the most unwatchable team in the NBA. That's as much as I'm going to say on that. The most unwatchable team in the NBA. So it's just Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma, having the time of their lives, playing some pickup rec basketball. They come out of work, just clocked out of a 9 to 5, and they don't feel like passing. They pulled up to shoot. They pulled up to get buckets. They don't really care about defense. I mean, Joel Embiid just yesterday put up 30 points in a quarter without missing a single shot. That speaks volume, and that is not a rare occurrence. That is what the Wizards have been letting up on a day in, day out basis. This team, I don't think they're even going to get 20 wins. Um, but that is my opening video. I rambled a lot, but I hope you guys enjoy it. It's hard with one person. It's a different dynamic. Hopefully I can get someone on, but it's really hard. But weekly videos. I'm gonna drop some mini videos later on. I'm excited for the NBA. I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited for what this season could be. It's been your boy B Riff, man. Have an amazing one. Keep watching the NBA. Please have some discussions. Drop a comment down below. Show some love. It's been your boy B Riff. God bless. See ya.